Hello and blessings to you. In this video, we'll go over chapter 22 of our first Hebrew primary, which will be talking about possessive endings of plural nouns. So we've already learned possessive endings for singular nouns, and now we'll see what that will look like with plural nouns. First, as we've been doing in the past few videos, I'd like to go through at least this first section of our oral review. Okay, so here we have Leah, Yakla, laledet, beveta, ve'ima, ima. Okay, so we have Leah, this is our name for Leah. Yakla, she was able. So we'll expect the next one to be an infinitive. Ledet, okay, so this ta at the end tells us that this is the root letters and something's missing at the beginning. And so at that point, maybe we can recognize that this is yalad, to beget or give birth to. So Leah was able to give birth, but veta, in the house, or in a house, her house, so in her house. So Leah was able to give birth in her house, and with her was her mom. So ima, you'll notice this is a with because of this ayin, and this is mom because of the ayin. Did I say aleph right here? That's what I meant. So, and with her, her mom. So with her was her mom. So Leah was able to give birth in her house, and her mom was with her. Okay. Nukal lasum et kal lachmenu lifnechem. Alright? We will be able, so this is yakal in the imperfect. This noon is kind of our tip-off, but this is an imperfect first common plural verb, so we will be able. Then we expect an infinitive, lasum, so to put. We will be able to put all of our bread, so lachem, bread, with a pronominal suffix, so our bread. We will be able to put all of our bread lifnechem, to your faces. So we will be able to put all of our bread to your faces. And of course this is a Hebrew idiom that then just means in front of you. So we will be able to put all of our bread in front of you. Okay, next we have Beni harasha yakol lasur mimenu minaklati. Okay, so we have my son, the wicked one. So my wicked son was able, so we should expect an infinitive. Lasur was able to turn aside from me, mimeni, and from my property. So my wicked son was able to turn aside from me and from my property. Ha-navi'im yaklu lakum beinenu uvtok artsenu. Okay, so the prophets, yaklu, they were able, so this is a perfect 3MP form of yakal. So the prophets, they were able, lakum, we're expecting an infinitive, to arise, beinenu, between or among us, so among us. The prophets were able to arise among us, and batok, and in the midst. Batok, in the midst. So tok is middle or midst. Ba is our preposition. And in the midst of artsenu, our land. So the prophets were able to arise among us and in the midst of our land. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Let's move on to our vocabulary. Several of these vocabulary words we've had in some of our reading exercises that we've had in class. So you might recognize some of these already. We have or means light. I kind of remember this word thinking of like gold ore, perhaps is like, or in English like O-R-E, like the stuff you make the metal from. Gold ore maybe is a little bit shining, light. I'm not sure. That helped me though. So or is light. Emet is truth. So for those of you that have seen the Lego movie, the main character's name is Emmet, and he's just an honest guy. I don't know, maybe that helps you. You'll see this word a lot of times with chesed, loving kindness. So chesed ve'emet, loving kindness and truth or faithfulness even. And people, for some reason, kind of combine those two words and say something like steadfast love. So if you see chesed, it itself is not really steadfast love. Steadfast being another word for faithfulness or truth, this kind of emet quality. So by itself, it's not really steadfast love. But sometimes when you see these words together, people will say that. I prefer to still say loving kindness and truth, but you have some options. Next we have aron. Aron. This is the word for ark. Okay. Notice this is not Aharon, which would be Aaron. This is Aron, which is ark, although both are priestly and in the temple. This is specifically the ark as in Ark of the Covenant, not ark as in the ship that Noah built. I believe that word is Teba. This is Aron, ark. Next we have boker, which means morning. So I think this was also in some of our exercises we did in class. So boker tov would be good morning. Barit, barit is covenant, agreement, contract. So in Hebrew there is an idiom karat barit, which would be he cut a covenant. So that's kind of the language used because if you remember in the Genesis 15 narrative, how they would cut the animals and kind of walk through them. You cut a covenant. Well, so here's covenant, barit, covenant, agreement, contract. Then we have dorot. This is the word for generation. Well, I'll leave that one alone. We have chodesh, chodeshim, chodesh. This is the word for month. Notice that this is distinct from our other word, chodesh, which would be holy. So perhaps you have a chodesh, or a kodesh chodesh, or rather a chodesh kodesh, a holy month. I don't know, just don't get those confused, but maybe you can use them to remember one another. Month has more of that guttural sound, while holy has that hard K sound. So this is chodesh, month. And we have chen, which is favor or grace. We'll look at an idiom here in a second that has to do with this. Then we have moed, moadim, moadeh. This is appointed time or a meeting. you can see how these words are the same word in Hebrew, because in a meeting, we typically have an appointed time to meet. Moed. Next we have the verb samik pei reish, safar, which would be, or rather safar, which would be count, or even account, safar. We have avodah, avodat, which is work or service. You can see I don't know if we've learned this verb yet, have we? Avad is the verb to work, or eved is a slave or servant, someone who works. This comes from the same root. This is work or service. Okay, then we have erev, which is evening. So just like boker tov, good morning, we have erev tov, good evening. Then we have kerev, which is an inward part or midst. This is a synonym to tok, middle or midst. So batok in the middle, bakerev in the midst, in the middle. And then finally we have the verb shin beit reish shavar, which means to break. Okay. I guess I already just mentioned this. We have bakerev in the midst, within, among, or mikerev, from within, from among. Then here are some idioms that we have. We have ohel moed. So this is the tent of meeting, the tent of the appointed time. Tent of meeting is how we really translate that. And then we have the phrase matzah chen ba'ene. So this is like what I just said would be he found favor in the eyes, and then you might say phareo, a pharaoh. Here's an example the authors give us. Rachel matzah chen be'ene Yaakov. So Rachel found favor in the eyes of Jacob. Okay, and then rather simplistically, we could say Jacob liked Rachel. That's kind of what that means, finding favor in the eyes of someone. Okay. Before we get into our pronominal suffixes on possessive endings, we're going to look at what some idiomatic endings look like for ein, hine, and kol. Okay, so ein, if you remember, is our particle that means there is or sorry, there is not, there are not. Okay, hine means behold or look, see, and when we have a pronominal suffix at the end of it, we kind of say here is. And then finally kol, all, each, every, the whole, depending on how it's being used. Okay, and then this is how we will kind of attach pronominal suffixes to them and then what they mean. Okay, so eineni means I am not. Einka, you are not. Einek, you are not. Einenu, he is not. Einena, she is not. Einenu, we are not. And notice it is the same form as the he is not. So by context, we'll be able to differentiate these two. Einkem, you are not. And einam, they are not. Looks like we've left off our feminine plural endings. So they're probably not used very often, is kind of the author's pattern. That's what they choose to do in this book. So hine, remember, is here is. So hineni, so hineni or hineni is here I am. And this is often a response. So if someone calls to you, in English we might say what, or something like that. In Hebrew, they'll say hineni, like, here I am. So I might say something like, what's up? They would say something like, hineni. So this is the response of Samuel when he hears God's voice when he is a child. So Samuel, Samuel, hineni, here I am. It's the response of Elijah in a vision that he has. Who will go for us? Hineni, send me. Here I am, send me. And some other people also say this in the Bible. Those are just the first few that pop into my head. Then there's hinka, here you are. Hinak, here you are. Hino, here he is or it is. Hina, here she or it is. Hinenu, here we are. Hinkem, here you are. Hinam, here they are. We have kol. Notice that this O, this comet hatuf is pronounced as an O. It turns into a U. Kuli would be all of me. Kulka, all of you. Kulak or kulake would be all of you feminine. Kulo, all of him or it. Kula, all of her or it. Kulanu, all of us. Kulkem, all of you. Kulam, all of them. Okay, and then we'll kind of go into each of these a little bit further. Okay, so for ein, you'll remember that ein can negate noun sentences. For example, ein Yaakov binka. So Jacob, so literally, there is not Jacob, your son, but really, Jacob is not your son, right? So Jacob is not your son. Or even ha'isha, so ein ha'ish ro'eh. So this is for participles. Sorry, I wasn't clear with that. The man is not seeing. Okay, well, by that same kind of rule, we can use ein, even with pronominal suffixes, to negate a noun sentence or a participle. Okay, so here's anachnu amka, we are your people. Einenu amka, we are not your people. Okay, and sometimes ein will even, with an ending, can even be used with a vowel, such as up here, we might have einenu Yaakov binka, except when that happens, the ein will typically come after, so it'd be Yaakov einenu binka. So, and I guess I should have just looked down. That's exactly what we have. So, Yaakov einenu binka. So, Jacob is not your son. Literally, Jacob, he is not your son. Okay, so perhaps this extra pronominal suffix, which just refers back to Jacob, is there for emphasis. Okay, so ha'ish einenu ro'eh. So the man, he is not seeing. So then the man is not seeing. Okay, hime, which typically means behold or look, or in some cases could be here is usually in front of the subject for emphasis with participles. Okay, and if it's at the end of the sentence or all by itself, it could take this other form. So instead of hineni, hineni, so kind of slight difference. The sere instead of a shakol. And it can stand alone, and meaning then just here I am. So hinen, excuse me, hineni omed lepaneka, or sorry, lefaneka. Okay, here I am standing to your face or in front of you. So here I am standing in front of you. Hinam ketuvim batorah. So behold them, or here they are, written in the Torah. So, behold, they are written in the Torah is another way you could translate that. Kind of taking this they separate. So, behold, they, and the noun sentence, are written in the Torah. Okay. Last one, Vayomer Hineni. So this could be maybe what Samuel replies. And he said, Vav conversive, 3ms form of Yomer. This is imperfect, so switches to perfect. So, and he said, Hineni, here I am. Right? Okay. Moving on to Kol. So, well, let's just get into the examples. I think it's fairly what you would expect it to be. So, Kulanu b'nei ish echad. So we are children of one man. Okay. Then we have natati et kulam lamelech. So I gave all of them to the king. Finally, we have ra'inu et hayam kulo. So we saw the sea, all of it. So this pronoun is referring back to sea, kind of as emphasis. So maybe we'll say the whole sea or all of the sea, something like that. Okay. Moving on then to our possessive pronoun endings for plural nouns. Just as kind of a refresher, we've learned in chapter 15, if you need to go back to review, you can attach a pronominal suffix to the end of a noun. So shemo, his name, iri, my city, and it will, well, okay. So when you do that, sorry, just a second. Okay, so when you attach a pronominal suffix to a plural noun, it can kind of change things up. Now, if it is a noun that ends with "im," this "im" will actually drop out and no longer be there. Well, okay, I'll go to the next one in a second. We'll just go through this one. So this "im" will actually drop out. And so the typical way that you will know that this is plural is that there will be a yod. Okay? And so this yod will help you recognize that plural ending. Okay? And there could also be some vowel changes, but for the most part, these endings will be recognizable to you as the endings for the regular pronominal suffixes. Okay? One to keep your eye on will be this first one. So instead of bani, my son, it will be banai, my sons. So you can see there are some vowel changes, but I think the important one is this patak instead of a hirik. Okay, so patak yod instead of hirik yod. Hirik yod will be our singular, patak yod will be our plural. Okay, and not plural as in we, plural as in the noun. So in this case, sons. Okay, so we have bani becomes benai, bincha becomes beneka. Notice this yod. So besides the first one, all the rest will be identified by this yod. Okay. Now the first one does also have a yod, but so it is the singular, first common singular. Okay. So then we have benek becomes banayek. Beno becomes benav. So this is maybe the most substantial change here. This vav, instead of being a holam, actually functions as a vav consonant, so benav. Then we have bena becomes benetha. Then benenu becomes benenu. Well, so benenu, benenu. So pronounced the same, but this one has a yod here. Binchem, binechem, binchem, binechen. Benam, benehem, benan, benehen. Okay, so again, this one and then our third common or third plural ones will be kind of different from their regular forms, but still I think identifiable. Okay, this him is typically a 3MP ending when we see it, right? As is this hen is a 3FP ending, as opposed to the kaf that is in the second person for both of those. So it's still identifiable, and so what you're really looking for is this yod, lets you know that it is plural. Okay. The one you'll of course have to pay careful attention to is the first singular. Okay. Couple other notes about this. Words that in English are singular, but in Hebrew are plural, or at least have plural endings, will also take these plural forms of the pronominal suffix, right? So we'll have chayim as life, we'll have chayeka, your life. So we'll take that im off, but still have a yod here, right? Panim becomes paneka, so face becomes your face. Something to keep in mind. So this all has to do with im endings, which are generally going to be our masculine plural endings, but remember some nouns can kind of flip-flop that. Now our ones that end in ot, which are generally our feminine endings, our feminine plural endings, they do not drop the ot, okay? So that ot will still be there, but there will still be an additional yod. Okay, so that's the key here, is the ot ending with a yod will tell us that we have a plural pronominal suffix. So this one should be kind of painstakingly obvious whenever you come across it. So we have biti, my daughter, benotai, my daughters, bitka, your daughter, benotika, your daughters, bitake, benotaic, bito, benotav, bita, benotehia, bitenu, benotenu, bitchen, benotechem, bitchen, benotechem, bitam, benotehem, bitan, benotehen. Okay? And this is it. Now, there can be slight changes to this, and if you want to see exactly what the nouns you have learned look like, you can look at these pages, 386, 388, and 390. But for the most part, this will be the paradigm. So again, this yod will kind of be our key. Be aware that the im drops out of the masculine plural and any others that take that im ending, and the ot will remain. Okay, either way, you'll still have this yod. Right, well, that'll be all. Blessings to you.